Back in 2004, Nintendo walked into a gaming conference and showed off what looked like a calculator that someone had folded in half. Two screens, a plastic stylus, and a microphone. It was the DS. The gaming press took one look and it basically said, "Are you serious?" IGN called it gimmicky. GameStop questioned whether anyone would actually want to hold a stylus while gaming, and gaming forums were ruthless. Sony was practically laughing because they had the PSP, which was a sleek and powerful machine. They thought that Nintendo is once again going to fall behind in sales. Fast forward 5 years, the DS sold 154 million units, while the PSP only sold 80 million units, almost 2 times less. To really understand how insane the DS was, you have to picture what gaming was like back in 2004. It was a war zone. Sony's PS2 was unstoppable. Microsoft was doing well with the first Xbox. But what about Nintendo? Their quirky purple lunchbox, the GameCube, was stuck in a distant, pretty humiliating third place. The pressure inside the company was gigantic. The one area Nintendo was still the king was handhelds. The Game Boy was an icon, but even that was about to be challenged. Look, here's the thing. Sony was jumping into the handheld game with the PSP. And this thing was a beast. It was powerful, it played movies, and it just screamed confidence. The PSP was this gorgeous piece of tech that made the DS look like a toy from the 90s. One Sony executive reportedly said Nintendo just handed them the handheld market on a silver plate. But under the leadership of their then president, the legendary Satoru Iwata, Nintendo was cooking up a secret weapon. Iwata later admitted he couldn't sleep for weeks before the DS launch. His entire career was on the line. If this failed, it didn't just hurt Nintendo, it could end his time as president. He pushed for a completely insane new strategy. Instead of fighting Sony and Microsoft in a bloody war for the same hardcore gamer, he decided to find a new market, one that nobody else was looking at. Iwata famously said, "If you do the same thing as others, it will wear you out," challenged by making something new. The goal wasn't just to win, it was to change the entire game. The target wasn't just young guys anymore, it was everyone. Women, older folks, people who had never ever picked up a video game in their life. Little did Sony know, Nintendo is about to make a big comeback. And when Nintendo finally revealed its secret project, codenamed Nitro, people had no idea what they were looking at. 2 screens, a stylus, the experts called it gimmicky and predicted it would be an expensive flop next to the much cooler PSP. But Nintendo was playing a completely different game. What all the skeptics saw as gimmicks were actually Nintendo's secret weapons. Imagine trying to play a game while looking at 2 different TVs at the same time. Sounds weird, right? But developers started doing crazy things with it. Your map could be on the bottom screen, while the action happened up top. And that bottom screen was pure magic, a resistive touchscreen. It allowed for a direct, intuitive kind of interaction that was completely unheard of on a handheld. You aren't just pressing buttons anymore, you're literally touching the game world. Then Nintendo announced backwards compatibility. The DS had a second slot that could play the entire library of Game Boy Advance games. This was an amazing bridge for existing fans, giving every single new DS owner a massive library of incredible games from day one. The DS also had built-in Wi-Fi. They included PictoChat software, which let you draw and send messages to other DS owners nearby, became this bizarre phenomenon in schoolyards everywhere. And then Nintendo did something that changed everything. The real exposition happened in 2006 with the release of the DS Lite. This redesign was a masterclass in hardware design. It was way slimmer, much lighter, and had these incredible bright new screens. The DS Lite transformed the console from a simple gadget into a sleek must-have accessory. The DS Lite shortages were absolutely insane. Best Buy managers had lines of customers every morning asking if shipment had arrived. eBay prices hit €300 for a €130 console. Parents were camping outside Toys R Us like it was a new iPhone launch. That's when Nintendo realized they just changed everything. The numbers were about to get absolutely massive. But get this, all of these innovations were part of Iwata's secret strategy. The stylus and touchscreen were just so much more approachable for new players. By 2006, Nintendo revealed that a staggering percentage of DS owners were female. The old gamer demographic was being completely shattered. The DS was becoming a device for everyone. The DS also had some fantastic games. It had Nintendogs, a virtual pet simulator, which let you use the touchscreen to pet your dog and the microphone to call its name. It wasn't really a game in the way people thought of them, but it became a global cultural phenomenon, selling almost 24 million copies. But wait, it gets even more ridiculous. Their next stop was even more unbelievable. Brain Age, Train Your Brain Minutes a Day, fronted by the floating head of a Japanese neuroscientist. This was a collection of simple puzzles meant to exercise your brain. It flew off the shelves, attracting an entirely new, much older audience. Nintendo executives watched in amazement as 65-year-old grandmothers spent hours playing Brain Age on trains. Store managers reported middle-aged women asking for that brain thing, without even knowing it was made by Nintendo. The game was a smash hit, selling over 19 million copies worldwide. And this is where things got really interesting. While all this was happening, core gamers were getting treated to some of the best titles in Nintendo's entire history. New Super Mario Bros. Brought back 2D Mario roaring with a modern style, and it became the best-selling DS game of all time, with over 30 million copies sold. Mario Kart DS was an absolute essential for multiplayer. Animal Crossing Wild World lets you escape to a second life, using the console's Wi-Fi to create a living, connected world. The DS also gave us unforgettable and truly unique games, like the super stylish RPG The World Ends With You, the wild courtroom drama of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, and the charming brain-bending puzzles of the Professor Layton series. That's the moment everyone realized they'd completely misjudged Nintendo. The DS didn't just compete with the PSP, it created a whole new league of its own. While the PSP sold a very healthy 80 million units, the DS family certainly doubled that, at over 154 million. Nintendo had proved its risky strategy wasn't just a theory, it was a devastatingly effective way to run a business. The DS didn't just win, it created an entire generation of new gamers. Touchscreens went from gimmicky to standard on every phone and tablet. That little plastic stylus that everyone mocked taught the world how to use touchscreens before the iPhone even existed. Sony eventually admitted defeat. A true success of the PSP never happened. Instead, Sony tried to copy Nintendo's innovation with the PS Vita's rear touchpad. But by then, Nintendo was already working on the next crazy idea: motion controls. The incredible success of the DS validated Satoru Iwata's philosophy, and it's a philosophy that would directly lead to Nintendo's next billion-dollar gambles, the motion-controlled Wii, and later on, the hybrid Nintendo Switch. It taught Nintendo and the entire industry that the biggest rewards often come from taking the biggest and sometimes weirdest risks. With over 154 million units sold, the Nintendo DS is still the undisputed champion of handheld gaming and the second best-selling video game system of all time. In an era now dominated by smartphones, that's a record for a dedicated handheld that will probably never be broken. The DS didn't just save Nintendo, it expanded the very definition of what a video game could be and who a gamer was. It proved once and for all that sometimes the ideas that everyone makes fun of are the ones that end up changing the world. If you enjoyed this clip, make sure to tell me your opinion in the comment section. Also, a like and a subscribe would really help me out. I was David, bye, have a nice day.